Okay, good morning. I'm so glad that we are all here today. This is going to be one of the great panels at the Race 2020 Expo. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. We will do a brief round of intros right before we launch into this really important conversation. So I am Dr. Ayanna Abrams. I am a licensed clinical psychologist in Atlanta, Georgia. You can't fully see, but I am always repping the race. We have had the anything but the pivot edition of this. So we're all virtual this year, and really glad you could join us today at the Expo. And I have a wonderful set of panelists. And today we're going to talk about running for justice. As you know, and as a lot of you know, the year that we have had in terms of seeing, what it's been like for running communities to come together, what it's been like for physically active communities to come together in the name of Black lives and ways in which we are committed to that. The race is all about that. And in order for us to kind of continue having our conversations around excellence and elevation, we can't have this conversation without talking about ways in which Black bodies are affected in the world, particularly as it relates to running and fitness. So I have a dope lineup of panelists today, and we're going to jump right in. So whoever wants to go first and introduce themselves, you can start us off.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jason Fulford, aka J Soul, and the Soul stands for Spreading Out Love Equally. I run with Black Men Run NYC, and I also am part of the Running Edge with my partner Ashley Toussaint, who was actually on a panel with me at the race last year. Mm-hmm. And my favorite physical activity has become running, but I'm a former college basketball player, so I would say that I love a little bit of basketball and a lot of running. And that's a healthy diet for me.
I like it.
Good morning. My name is Dominique Burton. I am a co-founder of Run Girl. I guess I could say for my 9 to 5, I'm a research and policy analyst in the criminal justice field. I run with District Running Collective in DC, and my favorite form of activity would be swimming and, of course, running.
Hello, my name is Jay Reed. I have a group here in Atlanta, Georgia called Dope Peddlers. We ride bikes here in the city as well as venturing into other cities. We've started groups in other places such as Charlotte, North Carolina. We have a division in Ohio. We have brothers in Baltimore. But more than anything, we're a networking group. And my favorite activity, of course, is bike riding.
Nice. I love it. We got a mix in here. So I heard biking, swimming, running. We got New York. We got Atlanta. We got DC. Oh, this worked out real well, right? And what I forgot to mention, of course, is that our panel today, the Running for Justice panel, is excelled by Alcavita Water. That is one of the race's sponsors. So I always want to make sure to shout them out, and I'll shout them out at the end of the talk as well. So let me start off with Mr. Jay Reed, right, of Atlanta and Dope Peddlers. Can you tell, we're using this word justice and injustice. So I wanted to start the conversation off with you about what do you think, or what would you say justice means to you?
Well, I think it has many forms and facets depending on who you ask. Me as being a young Black man, well, I'm not so young anymore, but me as being a Black man in America, I think justice is equal visionary under the law. So that's like, I seen LeBron James posted something yesterday, the young lady who was caught up in the college scandal. She just got sentenced. Yeah, Lori Loughlin. And then they said that she can go to the prison of her choice. Mm-hmm. That's injustice, if you ask me. You see people who are often get judged and sentenced by police. Right now, there's so many things going on. The brother in Wisconsin was shot in the back 5 times. They kneeled on the brother's neck. So those things are polarizations of injustice, but there's also systematic oppression that goes on with the education systems, with the employment situations, with how much people are paid. So it's so many things encompassed by justice itself. It's hard to just pinpoint one thing, but if I were to choose something, I'd just say equal opportunity for everyone.
Yeah, I think, you made some great points about justice not only being about our, kind of physical selves and our bodies as it relates to police brutality, right? But we're also talking about, injustice as it looks in the education system, right? I know Jason can, speak to some of that. You do research, Dominique, and there are all these ways in which systemic injustices kind of show up, right, across all these different pillars of how we're functioning, right? Do any of you two want to add to the conversation about justice or what you think justice is?
I definitely think Jay hit it right on the head in terms of justice being the kind of the distribution of wealth, opportunities, and privileges in the criminal justice system, and who's afforded those resources and who isn't. And I think that's our biggest hurdle at the moment, making sure there's equity within the system.
And I would like to add, as an educator, I just feel like, we need more equity in education as well. And I think that there are certain neighborhoods that unfortunately are also food deserts. And by that, I mean that there's not access to good food. And I think that plays a big part. And me being an educator and seeing some things that connect with that, I understand how important it is for children to learn from an early age to have a very balanced nutrition. And that's along with, like, my fight for justice is in the criminal system, the educational system. I think we really need to focus on what we ingest, because food is so important, but it's also like what we listen to, what we read, the information that we're giving. So I think that along with the fight, it's also a lot of educating that needs to be done, because I think that we've been programmed the wrong way, unfortunately, and a lot of people profit off of that. It's like we're a pawn on a lot of people's chessboards. So, we got to figure that out, work together, stay unified, and figure out a way to combat that.
Yeah. Yeah, you all make, great points about, this is stuff that, we are kind of talking about now, but all this stuff starts at a young age, right? The messages you receive, right, about what you have access to in the community, who you are in the community, what you're ingesting physically and emotionally and mentally, right, and per conversation, right? All those things not only affect how you view yourself and how you think about things, but also affects your physical bodies, right? When we're talking about nutrition, right? When we're talking about fear, right, of kind of being outside and kind of on the streets, right, engaging in ways, right, that should be safe for us that aren't. All those things have this huge interaction, all right? I wanted to hear a little bit more from Jason about, some of the initiatives, right, that you have been involved in and creating and co-creating up there in New York. I think this was just a perfect segue to that.
Definitely, and thank you. And one of the things so just so people know, Eric Garner was my cousin, and I just want to say happy 50th to him up in heaven. We just celebrated his 50th birthday, which he would have been if it wasn't for the tragedy and his murder by New York City police officers. And this is my annual Run for Justice shirt. We just did like a tie-dye edition. But I started the Run for Justice 2 years ago to make sure that not only do I keep Eric's name alive, but a lot of the victims and families that have dealt with police brutality, and to kind of bring awareness. And I know that in New York City, the run culture has become huge. Like now we have more people of color running these streets, especially during this pandemic. Yeah. And what I'm trying to do is build a community within the running community that could actually do things, like positive, bring activities to different communities. Like what I did this year is I wanted to bring the Run for Justice to my community that I grew up in, the Warner's Projects. And the reason that I did that was because in 1994, when I was 13, another child that was 13, Nicholas Hayward Jr., was murdered by a police officer. And because he was playing with a toy gun in his neighborhood staircase, which he should have been able to do. But one thing I think we all know is that, and we've seen it with other cases like Tamir Rice, a Black man is viewed as a threat from a very young age, and that's something that I would like to change, because there's such a negative narrative. And that's also why I've started with my partner, Devin Sandiford, a storytelling company called Unreeling Storytelling. And to be honest, I think that's what we need to do more. We need to share more real stories, because we're dealing with a lot of trauma, and we could still fight for justice. And I think that has to be the number one thing. But I also think we need to find ways to heal. And that's why we're opening up that space. And I also have a financial literacy program that I'm about to launch. And connected with that, we're going to be talking a lot about like what you ingest as far as food, what you're reading, things that are going on in your community. Because, I just want to be honest. I think that the number one thing is that we need to understand the importance of the example that we set for our youth. And I take pride in that. And I have a saying that leaders build leaders. I don't want a follower. I don't want a following. I want to help these young kids understand what it means to be a leader, what it means to stand up for something. And we all deserve the right to excel. So I'm really hoping that through these runs, through these bikes, through everything that all the panelists are doing, especially the work that you're doing, Ayanna, with mental health, it's so important to our communities. And not only is it important to us, but it's important to generations to come. So I feel that this is our mission, and we just need to lead it in an effective way.
Yeah, you make great points, and that's something that the race has remained committed to, right, in terms of connecting with, our sponsor, Citizen Trust Bank, right around financial literacy, and not only, in kind of certain ages and stages, but kind of just all across the lifespan, right, that this starts, and we can start this kind of younger and younger, and the more that we know more, and the more that we can give back. Jay, you were going to say something?
Jason, he said so many great points. I wanted to expound and jump in so many places, if nothing but to give an amen, because a lot of the things that he said were some of the focal points that I had when I started the group that we have here. See, it's more about adding different pieces to your group. And then as long as you have a strong nucleus, then you're going to have some people in the group who might not be as financially literate, or might not be as physically fit, or I have some white people that have joined my group that I know for a fact have never been around black people before. And this is their first foray into having relationships with young people, old people, or black, white, males, females, gay, straight, Muslim, Christian. But the bike is something that while you're riding, or I'd imagine as you're running, those things that separate us, they really are quite small. So while you're running, you can actually get to know somebody on a different level than you would just say encountering them in the street, because you're focusing on what you have in common. But as he said, with the financial literacy, with the teachers, we have teachers in our group, we have mechanics in the group, we have doctors, we have lawyers. And so we have an ecosystem within our group that if we need somebody that's a dentist, then we go and we support the dentist who's in the group. Or if we need a DJ, we have DJs, we have photographers. So it's incumbent that we do what we want to see in the black community. We have our own microcosm of that with our individual groups, that we can begin to build that and then let it blossom and balloon and snowball and grow. And then I think that would be a beautiful thing.
That's a great point. Yeah.
And I just want to say something real quick. Can
I
I just say something real quick?
Yep, few seconds.
What Jay Reed said was perfect, because we got to be more about the ecosystem and less about the ego system. Okay. I hear you on that. Yeah. Dominique, I want to make sure that I included a woman's voice right on this panel, right? Particularly when it comes to justice and really thinking about, how our bodies are viewed in spaces and how Black bodies are viewed in spaces. Oftentimes, women's voices are not part of this conversation, and because I'm not in the conversation, I wanted to make sure that I had a woman's voice. Can you tell us, for 1 or 2 minutes about how you see Run Girl, right, as a visionary or kind of a leader, right, in the space of justice for Black bodies in running?
Absolutely. So we definitely saw a void in general about Black people in the running space and in terms of the global stage. But we definitely saw a larger gap when it came to Black women. Malcolm X said it best: the most disrespected, unprotected, and neglected person in America is the Black woman. And that goes across spectrums, right? And so for Run Girl, it was imperative that we set a stage, a platform where we can build a community of people who look like us, women who look like us, share our stories, because we are out here, we are doing the work. We need to connect to one another and make sure that when we hear our voices, that one motivates another person, celebrates what we are doing, and then also informs what others can do as well. And so for Run Girl, we really want to make sure that we are elevating our stories, celebrating the Black woman, and then making sure there's avenues where we can do more, right? So like, if we continue to connect, I think both gentlemen said it on here, continue to connect and make sure that we are doing that work, because we're out here and it's not just a white man's sport. It's just not a white women's sport that you see in magazines and on that global stage. We're here doing it every day.
Yeah. And I'd like to hear from you three. You know, we have a few minutes left. I'd like to hear from you three about what do you see as the future of running and fitness activities, right, in terms of the Black community? What do you see as the future of where we can all take what we know and kind of take what we've learned, and take our different platforms in this space? What do you want to see in the future for us?
Well, I'll start it off because I'm a little different. I'm in the biking space.
Mm-hmm.
And as Dominique was saying, people are baffled to see Black people riding bikes. And I don't think that people understand, like, some of these bikes are like $6,000, $7,000. So when you see it's powerful to see a group of Black brothers and sisters pull up on these machines that people have dreamed about. And we have a name like Dope Peddlers on purpose because we understand that people are taken aback by that. So if they're going to be taken aback, why not give them a name that's been derogatory and then take the power and make it positive? So Dope Peddlers, we've kind of re-envisioned what people think when they hear that in Atlanta. They don't think drugs, but they think people who ride bikes, and they come through and they help the kids in the community, and they buy book bags for people, and they do things. So we just want to progress. And you don't have to be a dope peddler. You can just help in your own particular way. We want to inspire people. Sometimes people get on me a little bit because I got a lot of bikes. I got about 15 bikes over here in the corner, and all of them come with a nice price tag. But it's just, when I was a kid, I liked sneakers. I like rims on my car. Mm-hmm. So as Black people, we are quite resourceful in getting the things that we want. So my new thing is bikes. So, but I don't do it to brag. I do it to say, hey, you know what? What I have, you too can have. Matter of fact, you can get one of these bikes. I'll give it to you. But you just put in a little work and you show that you're about the cause, because it really has very little to do with biking. When you look at the bike, a machine is something that I can cheer for you, but I can't make your bike work for you. You have to put in your own work. And a lot of people feel like they've been marginalized in society, that other people have taken the credit for things that they've done. But riding a bike is something that you get the immediate enjoyment of putting in the work, conquering a goal, setting a goal and conquering it is something that's very gratifying. And so I just think that I would encourage people. Everybody's not going to ride a bike. Some people are going to run is their thing. Some people, one of the brothers in my group, he started a swimming group. So whatever it is that you choose to do to get active, it's like we've taken certain things and we've tricked people into getting active. Inspiring mental health as well as physical health. And that's very important. I think if we just progress and continue on with that, I think that each city that you see these things sprouting up in, those cities are going to see benefit.
Thank you. All right. You got 30 seconds.
Yep. I love that you said reimagine what health and wellness is in the Black community. And I think we're all doing that. And I think there are a ton of other organizations that are doing it too. Reimagine, reinvent what health and wellness means to us, and make sure that we're providing the resources to one another in the community so that we can elevate what health is, right? Jay Soul said it before, there's food deserts in a lot of our communities. What does that mean? What can we do? You might not be able to buy a bike, but hey, there's another program that can fund you. You can do a city bike, you can run. There's other things that we can do to work together to make sure that we're elevating our health and wellness as a Black community.
I love it. All right, 30 seconds.
I would just love to see more of the race everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I attended 2 years, and I'm going to be real with you. It's like no other experience that I've ever had in my life. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Black man. I'm saying that because it's the truth. Like, what I feel there was power. What I feel there is love. And what I feel there is what we could be doing on a daily basis together. And if we could just take that and run with it and spread it.
Literally, run with it.
Run with it, But the marathon continues, y'all. We still early in the stage of a marathon. So let's not be sprinters. Let's be about this marathon, because life is a marathon. And if we take the time and be patient with each other, love one another, spread that love out equally, spread the resources out equally, we'll be in a better place.
I love it. I love it. Y'all know that I could probably talk for another hour, but we got probably a few more seconds. So I want to shout out. So Dominique, you can find her at her handle, Neeknack. She's based in DC. Run Girl, District Run Collective. Jay Reed, Dope Peddlers in Atlanta. Jason Fulford. I never know how to say your name. J Soul, JFA15, BMR NYC, Running Edge. Find us all. Continue the conversation. Keep the community going. This is